So Dan, today I want to talk a little bit about a lot of things that I think concern a lot of finishers is, the products that they get. And first, I want to ask you, tell us a little bit about Miles Chemical. I know you all have been around a long time, very large presence there on the West Coast. Tell us all about what you all do for finishers.
Yeah, Tim, first and foremost, thanks for inviting me to talk with you and to be a part of Tech Talk. Truly is an honor. Miles is in its 28th year right now, and I'm actually going on my 20th year.
Hmm.
So it's pretty monumental for both of us. I like to think of Miles as being a 28-year overnight success. When you look at Miles and our product line, it really is A to Z type of product line, from acids to zinc. But more so than that, we have a couple of taglines. One of them is service that provides a solution, and the
Hmm.
other is we have your solution. And
Right.
solution has really kind of two meanings. One is an answer to a problem, whether it's a problem ongoing, anticipated, or to prevent a problem. So, offering that solution. And two is a solution being a chemical solution. So that's really what Miles is all about, and how I think we differentiate ourselves in a marketplace. I
Right.
do want to say that this is not a model solely that Miles has patented. I think it's a model that can be incorporated creatively
Hmm.
throughout the country.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. One thing I know is you all really are true partners with your customers. That's something you don't see a lot sometimes, but it's some, I've heard that from a lot of your customers that they do feel that you are a real partner with them, wanting them to do very well, and that's always a good sign to have.
It's interesting with that comment. Thank you. We feel that as well. When you talk about your customer, who is your customer? From the standpoint of internally within an organization. And what we like to look at is we have many customers that encompass the overall customer.
Mm.
For example, when we as salespeople, tech service people, visit an account, we're dealing with multi people within that organization. On the line, we're dealing with production people. We're dealing with customer service people on their end, purchasing as well. Our drivers are interfacing with receivable people. Also, our customer service people are interfacing with our people. So you really have to develop a relationship, across the board, and get an understanding of what their requirements are, because everybody has, different requirements. So, Miles is not one person. The account manager, the salesperson is not one person. We're part of a whole group to make sure that we're addressing, the customer's needs. Because in the end, when they have their meetings and they talk about their suppliers, it's not one person. Everybody has a chance to have an input as to whether their
Right.
suppliers are meeting their requirements.
Gotcha. Well, let's talk about one of those aspects, which is product availability. I know it's a big concern among finishers. I know, just-in-time delivery, and if there's an emergency and their tank goes down, they need some assistance. So, how do you all help shops in that regard of with product availability and getting things to them on time, and really when they need it, which is often very quickly sometimes.
It's typically very quickly, but that's fine. I mean, that's what we want, and they want. From an everyday type of product. Your core commodities: caustic soda, sulfuric acid, hydrochloric acid. Those are your core products that you maintain a solid inventory with. So they're pretty much readily available. There are supply chain issues, with some of those products for a number of reasons. What you try to do from our end is one, having multiple suppliers. Not that you don't have a strong relationship with one, but you want to make sure that you have material backup. The second thing, and this is where communication and technology come together, is having an understanding of what customers' requirements are. Bear in
Mm,
mind that many of the finishers or job shops, they have, challenges with their customer as far as what the requirements are. But if you have that communication and you're using technology from the standpoint of what has been the history of a product, and be able to have some type of information that you can present and discuss with a customer what their history is. Even now with technology, using a little bit of AI to help in the forecasting, and then sitting down with customers to determine what their requirements are. Now there's also some challenges. We talked about one of them being a tank going down, and so,
mm,
the others was shelf life as well. So, you try to have that kind of not only communication, but a what if type of scenario. And I
right.
think we're fortunate from the standpoint that we also are a blending facility,
Mm,
blending miles, product line, but also blending some materials for suppliers and even outside. Some of those relationships are you're blending on a regular basis, or you might be blending on an emergency situation. But, you're managing that, you're managing the shelf life as well. But once again, it's that communication
right.
with customers and the value of having your own facility with your own trucks, that you're not dependent upon a third party. We
Right.
laugh sometimes and say some of the third party warehousing is like the song Hotel California. You can check in anytime you like, you can never leave. And
Right.
so when you have the
Exactly.
keys to your own facility, when you have the keys to your truck. And what's interesting, Anthony Miles, our owner, founder, Michael Miles, his son, Matt Miles, his son, they all have keys to the building and to the truck. So in an
Right.
emergency, but I mean, you've got to really have good communication and also have the resources.
Right. Right. Yeah, definitely with that. And you guys have proven that for many, many, many years. It's funny. Obviously, you're well known for supplying, bringing supplies to shops, whatever it is. You carry multiple brand names and everything. Are you seeing it? Because it seems to me that shops are asking a little bit more of their partners, right? Their vendors like you all, where they're getting more of a customer service issues they want you to help with, and technical things, customer service with the lab, those type of things. Well, are you seeing more of that, and how are you guys meeting those requirements or what they're asking you to do?
Yeah, that's a great question, and there's definitely a trend. I think what we're seeing and have seen is just kind of a shift within not only the customer but the supply base as well. The resources aren't what they used to be from the
Mm,
standpoint of the supplier base where they're located. Uh, from the standpoint as well from the customer, the resources that they have. And so also many of them are working under specification or approvals, whether it's a mill spec, an automotive spec, their NADCAP as well. So their requirements from the standpoint of having to be um, driven much more quality, um, driving down their
mm,
costs as well. They're looking more at how they can get, support. We as well look at, hey, how can we provide, that type of support to
right.
our customers? And that's the
Right.
value that we try to have, not only to our customers, to our suppliers as well, because they too are looking at, how best can they support a customer. And when you're out here in California, West Coast, that becomes more of a challenge. So,
Right.
very, very much so from the standpoint of, we look at if a customer has a technical requirement, then we need to have tech support representatives that can serve, good front line
Right.
basis. Then we look at our suppliers from the standpoint of their support because they have the overall expertise as well. So without a doubt, what's interesting also, we look at from a customer's standpoint is it's somewhat now the way the world is somewhat of a challenge
Right.
to meet
Mhm.
and to introduce with a customer. We used to be able to knock on the door, go around back, walk
Right.
in. No more.
Right.
It's gated. There's no longer a receptionist. You push a button. You've got a
Right.
computer screen.
Mhm.
So there's a barrier that kind of exists. So if
Right.
you have that ability to reach out to a customer. They have the ability to reach out to you. Once again, if you're on the West Coast and their hours are from 8 to 5, well, on the West Coast, your hours, align with them versus being
Right.
back east and 5 o'clock west is 8 o'clock back east.
Right.
So yeah, so
So anything after,
you're
yeah, anything after 2 o'clock, you're kind of in trouble, right?
yeah, and
If
try Friday. And usually
right.
that's when the problems happen.
Right.
On a Friday at 5 o'clock. But here again, but it's value to the customer.
Mhm.
In anything, whether it's once in the logistics, the technical. You see also now today is what regulation specification is. Looking at different technologies. With anybody. Why um, uh, break it if it's fixed. Why fix it if it's already not
Right.
broken?
Yeah.
From that standpoint. But now you're seeing looking at non-chrome. Looking at
Right.
alternative types of chemistries, or a customer says, hey, they've been approached by a prime to see if they can do a zinc nickel, or trivalent chrome, whatever it might be. So they're then driven to look at alternative technologies. So they want to be able to have a source that
Right.
can provide them that information. Not only
Right.
that, but what you try to do is say, look, give us what you're looking for. Let us go out into the marketplace. Let us find that for you. What
Right.
we can bring it
Mhm.
in, then you can evaluate it. So from their standpoint, um, what some of them have said to us is, "Hey, we value this from the view of you almost become like a free resource to us.
Well, an
We do the
extension, really,
legwork.
an extension of their operation, really, and like I said, you've probably have done these type of research for others, right? So you're kind of very familiar with it instead of them reinventing the wheel with a lot of that. So
One
yeah,
100%.
yeah. I was going to say, every finishing operation stresses over the environmental issues that they're facing, and you guys have really become, again, really experts on that as far as wastewater treatment, the best way to do it, hazardous waste. I know a couple of shops that you've really helped them reduce, really get rid of the headache that they have had with this by helping them implement programs. So, what all do you all offer in that regard, as far as some technical support or just expertise in that?
Sure, sure. What's interesting, this goes back kind of with the beginning of Miles Chemical, is a customer would say, "Hey, you provided this to us. Help us get rid of it." And so
Right.
it really
Right.
started off initially from the standpoint of waste, hazardous,
Hmm.
non-hazardous, universal waste, and having a department and resources as well to help. What we want to do first is to minimize waste, and a
Right.
customer say, hey, I thought you want to sell us more. We want to provide the right amount of materials to
Right.
your success, your business is important to us. So it's to help them to manage that waste, and having a department with the environmental services, and that's spread out not only from the standpoint of
Right.
waste and managing their waste, but if they have situations where they need emergency response, where they have a
Hmm.
spill or they have a fire, to be able to address that 24/7. But moving kind of up the line with that. And Miles purchased a company back in 2007, 2008, Micell. And Micell was actually the initial formulators of Simple Green. And we
Oh,
had
okay.
purchased myself from the standpoint of logistics, where their location was. But when we opened up their file cabinets and found just a whole plethora of products, good legacy, good wastewater products, we looked to expand, that part.
Right.
We, brought on, tech service rep as well, and now able to help, meet those regulations. so that they can discharge and not have any kind of violations to
Right.
minimize that waste that actually is being hauled away. So
Right.
it really is taking responsibilities, like I said, from A to Z, not only acid to zinc, but
Right.
from plating to wastewater treatment to
Right.
waste as well. And with
Right.
that, we can look at providing a whole package to a customer, making a win-win situation for them. Once
Right.
again, though, this is something that's not just from a miles standpoint. Now, bear in mind, I mean, there's certain things that we can do, but there's partnerships throughout the country that suppliers and distributors, environmental companies can get together. So I really want this to be not only about miles, but what other companies can look at to be able to look at providing a type of service and support to the finishers, because we need a strong industry here in the U.S.
Right.
and
Right.
that I think helps to help our customers, which in turn
Right.
help the whole finishing industry.
Right, very much so. Yeah, it's funny. It wasn't too long ago. I just saw something the other day. That was 5 years ago when COVID struck, but it's fresh in everybody's still fresh in everybody's mind. And in the aftermath of that, people had a lot of supply chain issues, and it really, I think, and this is what I heard from a lot of finishers, it really hit home with them, is that they can't be ordering things from out of the country or even sometimes across the country, right? It may not get to them in what time. And I think, like I said, you all have really stepped up with, making sure you're in the time zone there, you're close by, you can get to people usually within 24 hours. And that's really, I guess, if you're a finishing operation, you want to make sure that somebody can get to you. You can order it, but that's got to get to you, right? I mean, that's a key. I think that's really a big strength that Miles has.
Especially this time of the year, when you're getting emails that are coming from companies, back east with freeze warnings, or not
Mm,
being able to ship because of, a storm. And
right,
so once again, I mean, this is, the nature of transportation, nature of business, and the key of having materials close to a customer, or being able to blend, materials here, so you don't have to have that challenge of something freezing or something being held up from a natural disaster. These things happen. There's things that are out of your control, but once again, you're trying to look for a solution and to prevent something from happening and trying to manage that. So yeah, very much so. The whole supply chain, the whole availability of products. Who knows what the future years are going to bring as far as products coming in from other parts of the country or of the world, and what's going to be available and how it's going to be available. But you try to look at that and once again offer a solution.